So last time I did one of these videos, I was talking about how economical the Audi S3 was. And to be honest, for the sort of video it was, just talking about the economy of it, it got a good response, and I thought I'd do more of these, definitely. Now, in my last video I spoke about how I wanted to talk about the tuning capabilities, what I wanted to do tuning-wise with this car. Whether I was going to go remap or tuning box, and I was going to get your opinions on this as well. And it's something I want to talk about in this video. I tried to do a recording earlier this week, but the GoPro kept falling off the dash. I had just a sticky pad mount, and that was about it. And the GoPro kept on falling off the dash, and I thought just to scrap it. Got a suction mount, and that seems to be doing the job. So what am I looking to do with the S3? Well, it's going to be my daily car. I haven't got a second car. I mean, I've got a Golf R at the moment, but that's going back in May. So this will be the only car that I will be driving. So what I don't want to do is I don't want to go absolutely wild with the tuning. I don't want to go like stage 3. I don't want to end up forging the engine, especially when it's my daily car, because when you start tampering that much with the car, eventually Murphy's Law says it will go bang, but not in a good way. And what I don't want to do is have this car sort of out of action whilst I'm using it as a driver to and from work, when work is sort of key for me. So changes that I'm probably looking to get done in the next few months or so. I'm looking to lower it. I've got some lowering springs in the garage at the moment, and they've came from the Golf. I had the Golf on lowering springs. I've taken those off and they're just sitting in the garage doing nothing but collecting dust, so I'm thinking of just putting them on the S3. They share the same chassis, so there should be a straightforward fit. I also want to get some spacers to also widen the stance. I mentioned before I'm not exactly the greatest fan of these Black Edition wheels, but I think if you lower it, widen the stance a little bit, it may pull the wheels off a little bit more. There's also some cosmetic modifications that I want to do, but that's nothing major. The major thing comes to when I want to remap or a tuning box. Which one do I go for? Now, looking at tuning boxes, you have quite a selection. There's the DTUK box, which I had on the Golf, and it was alright. I think it was more of a placebo effect though. I didn't really notice that much in the way of gains at the end of the day. Mind you, the Golf was just a manual, and they say the boxes work better on the autos. I didn't want to tune the Golf too much anyways, due to the fact that it was a manual and the clutch was awful on that. I had the car for about, I think it was like 1,300 miles, and the clutch plate and the flywheel went, which VW tried to charge me for. So with the tuning boxes, I've heard a lot of positive reviews about the JB4 box. They had the JB1 box out for the VAG engines, the 2-litre engines, and it was fine. It was sort of limited in capability of what it could actually do, but it was fine. But now they've released the JB4 box, which I have on the BMWs, and that's really, you know, the sort of first port of call for a lot of BMWs when they get tuned is to put a JB4 box on it because of the tuning capabilities. You can do a hell of a lot with them. Now I'm looking, if I was to get a JB4 box, it's cheap enough to buy. It's also easy enough to fit. You can also have a custom map on there which you can get done, which, you know, might be of some benefit in the future for me. But I mean, their map, I think it's map 2 or map 3. One of those is like their strong map, and I'd like to see what it's like in the car anyways, because people are seeing some incredible gains with the JB4 box. I mean, I've seen some of the just from the box itself, with no added bolt-ons either, like no air filter or anything like that. 370, 380 with just the boxes, you know, insane. Especially when the car's 315 horsepower from stock. That's, you know, like a 55 brake, 65 brake horsepower increase. I'm not too sure of the torque numbers, but I believe they're pretty high as well. Pretty decent numbers from just the box. The good thing with the S-Tronic is the S-Tronic boxes, you know, they can take quite a bit of power and quite a bit of torque before they start to be swapped out. When the manuals, they were pretty shit. So a JB4 box is sort of what I'm leaning towards. It's also easily reversed. If something was to go wrong, I can easily just take it out. And for services, it's, you know, it's not too long to take it out of the car. I don't believe it is. The DPUK box didn't take me too long to remove from the car itself. The other option is to go the remap route. And then when you get to the remap route, you have to ask yourself, well, do you want a generic map, you know, from APR, Revo, or do you want to go with a custom remap? The benefit with the remap is it's purely tuning the ECU. It's not just altering settings and telling the ECU it's saying this when it's not, you know, sort of frigging the system. It's a bit more of a pure tune. You can also get pretty damn high numbers from the remap itself, obviously a bit more than the box, but like I say, you've got to ask yourself the question, do you want to go custom or do you want to go generic? Now if I was to go a generic map, where to go? APR, Revo, a lot of them get good reviews, and I know Revo spoke quite highly, but then again I see APR on a lot of the people that I follow on Instagram, and some of the stuff that you can do with them now is insane. The problem with the remap is, if something does go wrong with the car, I've got to get it flashed back to stock. And I believe it also raises a TD1 flag on the ECU, so even if you get it flashed back to stock, the dealerships can still find out that you've remapped the engine, and that then can void the warranty if something does go wrong. Not saying it will go wrong, but if something does go wrong, it makes it a little bit more harder to get your way out of it. So my question is, what would you prefer to see? A remap or a tuning box? If I get a tuning box, I can do a video on fitting it. I can do a video on all the different map settings, and I can also get a map 6 on a JB4 box custom tuned to the car, and that there is similar to a remap. I mean, it's still frigging the system a little bit, but it's more of a custom map at the end of the day. If I was to get a remap, then yeah, where do I go? Do I go custom? Do I go generic? Do I go Revo? Do I go APR? If it's custom, where do I go? I just like the idea of the reversibility with the tuning box. I can take it on, I can just take it off, and I don't need to really go anywhere for it. I can do it myself. It isn't too hard to fit them. So what do you guys think I should do? Again, if you liked the video, leave a like, leave a comment on what I should do and what I should do next. I'm thinking of talking about my insurance and my PCP deal that I got on this. And subscribe.